Donald Trump and his supporters insist that it was his saber-rattling that brought Kim Jong-un to the negotiating table in June 2018 for the first face-to-face meeting between a North Korean leader and a sitting American president. But Kim's economic concerns and ambitions probably had more than a little to do with it. Kim has proved himself every bit as shrewd as his father in keeping the regime afloat in the face of intensifying economic sanctions, often by evading them. As recently as last year, the Institute for Science and International Security reported that measures banning trade, financial transactions, and military ties with the Hermit Kingdom have been routinely ignored. Violators include poor and conflict-ridden countries like Eritrea, major emerging economies like Brazil, and wealthy global powers like Germany. Yet more recent data suggest that sanctions are biting harder, not least because China, North Korea's biggest trade partner by far, has curbed its imports of North Korean coal and other products. Overall, according to Seoul National University's Byung-Yeon Kim, North Korean exports may have declined by up to 30% in 2017. Exports to China are down as much as 35%. As remarkable as these figures are, they don't even take into account the fresh sanctions imposed in December 2017. One of the most important is new restrictions on visas for North Koreans working overseas, whose remittances are the country's second largest source of foreign exchange. If sanctions are enforced fully, the Kim regime could quickly run out of hard currency. This would deal a serious blow to living standards in a country that has long poured its limited resources into its nuclear program, and where the UN estimates that 41% of the population is already undernourished. As for the country's elites, their lifestyles depend on goods bought with foreign currencies. Strengthening the economy may thus be critical to Kim's political and even physical survival, and Kim knows it. That's why he shifted from his father's single-minded focus on the military to engineer a dual-track policy that advances the nuclear program and strengthens the economy. This shift was reflected in Kim's New Year's speech for 2018, which included not just the requisite warnings about nuclear deterrence, but also plenty of mentions of the economy, including an explicit declaration that a turn should be brought about this year in improving the people's standard of living. The speech also anticipated the rapid completion of a coastal tourist area that has long been in the works, and predicted a revival of travel to the country, another key source of hard currency. The calls for rapprochement with South Korea may have been driven at least partly by this imperative, as the South has been a leading source of tourism in the past. Kim's longer-term economic plans likely include special economic zones like the Kaesong Industrial Region, which creates space for controlled experimentation and joint ventures with the South. Securing capital from international investors will be essential to upgrade badly outdated infrastructure. All of this requires an easing of sanctions. But the economic pressure on Kim shouldn't lull his interlocutors into a false sense of security. Sanctions and a weaker economy may make Kim more willing to negotiate, but they won't convince him simply to discard his nuclear program. As important as the economy is to the Kim regime's survival, a nuclear deterrent is absolutely critical.